You know, if nothing else, then the fact that I am dieting and losing weight successfully makes it so that my chairs don't break as easily. But anywho, as we see, well, Zektas Fatalist 3 custom. This is going to be a heck of a run, basically. And I hope the whole robots don't hurt me for that. I mean, we're playing World of Horror, which is already, I think, like at least 17 plus. Don't quote me on that. But we will move on. So Fatalist Zektast. And then we said everything else. We have Pushing Yourself and Hounded Artist because, again, for those creating characters, just know that the text does have a vertical limit that goes past. Yes, the game could have been programmed for that, but essentially you do have a band-aid fix, so that's, I mean, even that's nice enough. But as we get into Zektast Fatalist Custom Character Random Item Stats, there are also other things that I say that I usually try to give you the other side of what I'm saying as well. Whether or not it may be completely valid or true, I mean, at least other forms of thought, I think, is something to add on. Or at least I do here. Dexterity, Charisma, Second Mystery Knowledge, Takshisan, and maybe a Light Check? As I also forget what else I wanted to talk about, but otherwise we'll just do it as we do here. Strength 3, 4 Dexterity, 5 Perception, 2 Knowledge, 7 Charisma. So we can build into Ally Attack. Unfortunately, because we're on Zektast, that's not as likely to happen. If we get a Charisma Zektast event, if we get to level up into Charisma, fine, but don't let it be said that World of Horror doesn't have its strategy as well. Not as like it'd be around the 50-60% mark at most. But really, if you were to you were to say, Jordan, where along the spectrum of games is the difficulty in at least learning the strategy of World of Horror specifically, it would be around 40% of games, or more than 40% of games. But hey, and we're including very, very, what's the word? I don't want to say simple, but we're including all kinds of games, and that's not a slight at any particular game. That's just me trying to consider every game that comes out. I stumbled upon myself there because I thought the face. Actually, I can check myself. I thought the face graphic changed really quickly. Oh no, that's just the lock of hair that goes off of the head, which is a nice detail. Again, don't let it be said that people making custom content for World of Horror didn't do work. They did. So, as is the soft rule for Fatalist runs on this series, for me particularly, you don't have to do this. We're not going to take the middle mysteries, so this is painting, I think, and this is household hell, maybe. But we're going to take the custom mysteries in between instead, and when we have 3, we take the rightmost one, so we'll just go into a base one because, hey, immediately getting sailors. This could be interesting if I grab items and get a torch from this, because the torch is not a terrible item, but because we have some problems with Zektast, yeah, the Doom here is going to be interesting. Now, I'm going to take Mind Drain instead, but we're still going to take a last item. As much as I like cigarettes here, we're going to... If we had to risk something... Well, I think what I'm actually going to do is look at what items I can sell. So, because we're on a random item stat run, not all of my items are guaranteed to sell for funds. Like the Demon Mask. So anything that sells for 0 funds here, we toss. And now the question. I like strength, so we're going to toss the cigarettes, funny enough. I'd rather have consistency, and we did get the torch. If we didn't get the torch, I would trade for funds. That's the long and short. Now, on a 100 speed, 4 damage weapon isn't great, but if for no other reason... Actually, if you run into a ghost enemy, which is what I was going to talk about, I was going to say we were fine, but with 2 knowledge, we're not as fine. So we're here hoping to pray that we survive. On top of Zektast, causing us to lose a run at 42% Doom. I was going to say a stronger word, but I wanted to be safe for robots. As for events, I don't care, because as you just saw, I rolled natural 12s anyway, so... Shrug! Now again, let me rephrase that to tie into what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. The other side of that is that's not normal RNG. But at the same time, to argue against that point, as we lose a point of perception with hallucinations, there are people who are going to be unlucky. Period. Can I even fit 2 of these? I can. Might as well. And so if nothing else, in the grand scheme of things, as much as I talk about, oh, I'm going to run to, say, Rumu Ghost or the Young Witch and I don't have... I can't get out of encounters quickly. You do want at least 40% minimum, at least in the... If you're making a game along the lines of World of Horror, whether it's an RPG or not, you do want some enemies to be easier, if nothing else, but certainly easy. Also, we are in, yeah, Sailors, so as much as I'd like to switch this, I think we'll just stick with the Seaside being at max threat level. I should switch it, though. 7 Charisma, don't get a Ritual Dagger, would have been nice to see, because even though we have 2 Knowledge, for the which is the stat that scales with Ritual Dagger, if we do 5 damage, it doesn't matter. Period. That's the end of the sentence. Funny to say, I was gonna say suffice to say, I'm using big phrases and I'm not using them correctly. We're gonna run from this, by the way. So, as we take, we take our stat decrease. Here's hoping we level up quickly, otherwise pain. We're not fighting that, by the way. We will die. Especially, with the character that it's not built for combat, on a Zectast run specifically, this is not gonna fly as well, but we'll do our best. Going for it, never giving up, because maybe your mind gets opened if you're like me and you can't remember all of the variables. We'll take a custom history next week. We get Taxi, so funny enough, we do get more cigarettes, but I didn't know I was gonna get that. That being said, yes, the foreign or any cigarette item use would have helped me out in encounters here, but yeah, that's not what happened. So gamble on pretty much a coin flip again. Worse than a coin flip overall, but you get the point. And we didn't win the coin flip, so hey, take the doom. Now we need to level up now, otherwise we will die to... Actually, where did we get our knowledge from? I'm going crazy. Well, anywho. Roll a 10 on strength, sure. Pain. So that being said, I mean, if you're still listening to this, I thank you, because that means you're doing a lot to support this channel, if not me, if nothing else. But if you haven't noticed, or I've talked about this before, but World of Horror is much easier to record, so yeah, I just sit down and record. All I really add is the end screen, unless I need to make cuts here and there because something happens in real life. That doesn't happen often, just based on practical evidence, but, you know, it's easier to record World of Horror. Another indicator of that is, after recording about 15 minutes of World of Horror, the recording length that I put in to edit later is no more than usually like 600 megabytes. 600, 900 megabytes, longer obviously if it's like a 30-minute video of gameplay, but that's a far cry from pretty much any other game I play that it's at least 1 to 2 gigabytes, and then obviously as the game demands more graphical resources and whatnot, as we also take the thingamajiggy, I want the map still, funny enough, for the moment. But yeah, games that require more from your setup are larger in gigabyte size, or just in size in general, so... Shrug. Yeah, it would have been nice to take knowledge. And we don't need charisma. So funny enough, character perks can hurt, specifically with this character overall, gameplay-wise, because your stats are low, and if you take a character perk, you risk dying to another stat if your stats continue to decrease with curses. That's normally not going to happen as often, but it can happen, as we were seeing here. So... yeah, we will die at 84% Doom if we don't increase our strength and knowledge by 1. At least. Again, if we get flashbacks, we die quicker. We're gonna go for a drive here. So, let's see what happens. All I remember is I just take most of the right-handed choices. And not including that, but literally going right as well. And good things will happen most of the time. But we'll do some... We'll make some choices here and there. I obviously haven't remembered Taxi, but it doesn't really matter when I keep failing my checks anyway. You do want to make smart choices, they do matter, but if you keep looking at my rolls, like, it's been like 10, 12, 7, so 11. Like, it speaks for itself, so if it sounds like I'm being pessimistic, if you watch a lot of my videos and you're like, Jordan, why are you really pessimistic? I'm just explaining that I don't think anyone feels good when you fail to call a coin 5 times in a row, because theoretically you have a 50% chance. Unless, of course, someone's using a trick coin, but that's a whole other issue, isn't it? This also counts as an Eldritch enemy, so I don't get to handcuff this. Which brings me to my next question. Yeah, I think we're going to Mind Drain here. So, I will brace, because then we get to Desperate Prep, and that's the gamble I take for today in World of Horror. As a quick aside, I did talk about, playing World of Horror on the side. Did I even need to do that? I didn't need... No, we did, because we couldn't Desperate Struggle without having 3 stamina. But, yeah, I usually did a run off recording just to get more World of Horror in. But as you know, as you may or may not know, obviously with this other game that I'm playing, that is now being pretty much doing daily videos on that as well, whether it's a short video or a longer video. Yeah, gotta look into that one so that I know what I'm doing. Don't have to. If I'm playing for fun, I mean, I'm playing for fun, but we'll take the level up, by the way. Yeah, and I want to increase strength, but unfortunately, we'll save it because I'd rather take strength now than knowledge later, unless I run into a ghost enemy, which is entirely possible. So I'm gonna take the next custom mystery because I don't know if it's a boss. Obviously, I could... Again, for those saying, well, Jordan, you can just hover over the custom mystery name and you'll know what mystery you have for custom mysteries. We're not doing that as a house rule because we're trying to stick to the Fatalist backstory, which is essentially you don't know what mysteries you're going into. And you might well say, well, Jordan, isn't that hypocritical of you to say use the icon? If you remember the mystery icons, you know what mystery you're going to go into. The real counter argument, aside from memeing around, is that custom mysteries are often not as nice as they appear. I would say a 60 to 70% majority of custom mysteries are overall harder than the average base mystery. Now, obviously, would I take Shiba's over Metamorphosis? Yes, because I can skip the boss of Shiba's, and I can't skip the boss of Metamorphosis. But, I think you get where I'm getting at, or trying to get at. So, yeah. We don't want to fight this, and we're on our 3rd mystery we're nearing pretty much the end of the 3rd mystery with 40% Doom. However, I can Desperate Struggle this encounter, so you know what? We're gonna do that instead. Out of curiosity, can I do a Prep Strong? No. We can fit 2 attack boosts. Something to note for later in case I need an extra 20% accuracy. Usually I think of extremes, usually, not like 80-90% of the time, but I usually think about it because then I can be prepared for whatever happens. What I mean by that is, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Hopefully I remember. I was trying to think. I was also looking at my Doom. But anyway, as we near our last investigation here, again, our Doom is quite low. So all things considered, we should be okay. So... we're gonna flee here, take our reason hit. We have Yakitori to make up for it, but we'll save it for when we really need it. Because then, yeah, as you can see here, along with getting time skip, we healed up to 3 reasons. So if we run into an encounter, we can possibly one-shot, which would be nice. I don't think we can, actually. Although we're gonna take a bat, so never mind, I lied. I'd like to level up faster. Hopefully that makes a difference, but until then, into our... I think I'll take a base mystery. In Flood, so never mind. I didn't know I had Flood. That I know for sure. But out of curiosity, no, we can't do Desperate Attack. Well, I guess we just take this to the face then. We thankfully have the Mystery Yakitori, but I want to save the cigarettes for the boss here because it's gonna hurt a lot. So thankfully, we get to one-shot this, and that's a forced encounter. If you force an encounter on players, usually, especially for custom mysteries, unless it's your purpose to make a hard mystery, feel free to make every single encounter an all-encounter as we check the boxes for cigarettes, so we actually can smoke them earlier. But just know that I will take the necessary measures to not die to your mystery. So, yeah. Charisma, Dexterity. Well, don't want to take Winging It. I'm going to take Knowledge so we have extra Doom, essentially, but we could just end up dying here. We don't have any stamina healing, and I probably should have just healed instead. So, we do have the cigarettes. We can do this. We don't do enough damage, though. I have to Mind Drain again. I don't want to. We have to. Otherwise, we die, I think. So... Anyway, moving on. I'm just gonna heal. I want the healing, and I don't want to spend any more Doom. So, if nothing else, saving Doom here allows me to just cheese through the lighthouse and not have to think. But, as you can see here, our reason is topped off at 10. We might have to Mind Drain more, but I'm really doing this for the stamina, so hey. Anything else I want to do beforehand? No. So, first and foremost, we want to use the Mystery Yakitori before we do more Mind Drains, essentially, if possible. If that's not possible, hey. Also, we are quite accurate. Do we have higher accuracy? We do. 80% isn't that high, but it is higher than normal for base accuracy. And again, this is because of random item stats fluctuating, I'm pretty sure. And for some reason, I did not do my double attack boost, so... Keep in mind, yeah, we're losing 3 reason, but can we brace into a thing? I wanted to get rid of the second enemy. It doesn't look like we can brace into... Oh, we can't. Never mind, we can't. I'm not going to do that. Even though the game allows me to do that, by nature of the time units, I can't do that. So 78... Let me just make sure... Yeah, so we're not going to do that. So we're just going to take 3 reason in the face. But if you're playing on your own, I mean, you do what you want, especially if you're unlocking things in the game, or just achievements in general. Shrug! That being said, yeah, we probably have to use Mind Drain once or twice, so we're gonna prep a Desperate Struggle turn before we do Mind Drain. So this is 12 damage, and we probably have to Mind Drain twice. So now we have max 8 reason, but that's fine, because really, if you're not topped off on reason, then you shouldn't be scared of your max reason. Most of the, really, in general. That being said, yeah, we have Haunting Dreams, so we are healing more reason at the end of a run with Restless bonus, but 8 max reason is still perfectly fine, at least in my opinion. So, we finally get Folklore Studies. We're going to take Folklore Studies, funny enough, for the purpose of, hey, we run into a ghost, I need to be able to defeat the ghost in a timely manner. As we enter Television, so this is also going to hurt. This is a Force Boss mystery as well. I'm pretty sure, maybe there's one ending where you don't have to fight a boss, but... You usually don't want to do that. Yeah, 4 in every stat, but we might as well roll. At this point, Gambler's Fallacy. If I rolled all those 10s, 11s, and 12s, and 9s in the beginning, let's hope we roll better later on, which seems like that's the case. But we'll see how many stat rolls we actually do. That being said, we are pretty healthy Doom-wise, so if I need to rest, I should. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, during the course of this mystery, we have been getting lucky, so that's good. Unfortunately, unless we make it to the if we make it to the end, we're fine. If we make it to the lighthouse, we should be okay. If we don't make it to the end of the if we don't make it to the lighthouse, this run could end, is what I'm trying to say. So 6 charisma, we passed that. We don't have any fun, so we just proceed and we try to use charisma again. We can fight this if you really want to, but. Let's try to save on resources while we can. We do have the handcuffs for this boss, so I need to make sure, yeah, we are going to try to cut Kimiko free. If we do, that's going to be, funny enough, we don't want to cut Kimiko free here, or we don't want to be successful, because we want to take more stamina damage, if that makes any sense. So, as we move on here, I need to remember how many clicks I do. So we approach Kimiko, and then we cut Kimiko free. And fail, and that's good, because we want to take stamina damage instead. Never mind, that's all damage. I'm going absolutely insane. We can brace to do to take less damage overall, but we do want to handcuff. We're probably going to have to Desperate Struggle. Or Mind Drain, really. We can still Mind Drain comfortably. We should be able to Mind Drain comfortably, but we're going to go as low as possible. And then we'll Mind Drain once, at least, because I don't remember if I have enough max reason, but definitely we can handcuff. Let's hope I hit this handcuff, because I notice things are lagging. No! I took the damage here. Okay, well, we don't need to use the handcuffs anymore, but... Oh, and then I did that. Oh, I got so rushed! Oh, but you know what? I'll just take it. That shouldn't have normally happened. We actually... So basically, if I survived that, we would have won. Just a quick little 15-second review before the end. Yeah, 55% Doom. We would have had, say, 65%. And we would have had enough stats and HP to survive the lighthouse, but I went crazy there at the end. So without further ado, I guess I'll see you later. Thank you for watching. Bye!